Welcome back, I'm Streaky. Today's video I'm going to show you how you can get some good groove going in your low end and get some really important separation between your kick and your bass when you're mixing. I think you're going to like this one. It's all about the sidechain. I know a lot of you are new here, so please make sure that you subscribe via the link below. I do these videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. You're going to learn some top tips from me, who's been working at the top end of the music industry for the past 25 years. I'm giving it all away to you for free, so make sure you subscribe. Right, let's get in there. So here we are inside of Logic again. Now what we've got here is a kick and a bass, and to get these so that they work within the mix and so that we can get them so that, you know, they're not all blurred and, you know, we want a bit of separation in there. If we have a quick listen to see how that sounds blank before we start doing any processing. So you can hear they're kind of a little bit muddled. So I'm going to now show you a 3-step process that will make it so that we can get separation with any bass line against your kick, so they're not blurred and mushed up. So first of all, step 1 is we need to get a compressor up, because what we're trying to do is duck the bass out of the way every time the kick comes in. So all it's doing, we're making space for the kick. So otherwise we're going to lose the transient from the kick. So what we want to do, we've got a compressor here, which is the standard Logic compressor. We'll set the sidechain up. So what we're going to do is sidechain it from the kick itself, so that it's just taking the kick as the trigger. So every time the kick comes in, the bass is ducked out of the way. Okay, so now on to step 2, which is how we set up the compressor. Now I want this compressor on full on first of all, just so that I can really sort of then mold it as it plays so that I can hear what it's doing. So I'm putting a ridiculous ratio on it, so it's like 30:1. I'm going to make sure that the threshold is fully on so that it's not letting any of that bass through. I want the attack really fast so that it grabs it. As soon as it hears it, it grabs it, and I want the release really fast so it lets it go as soon as possible. So let's just play that through, and you'll see as I'm playing it through, I'm just going to open up that threshold so that it lets the bass come through until I hear that it's sort of doing the groove how I want it to groove against the bass, because what it's essentially doing is ducking every time the kick comes in. So I just want to modulate that so that it's bouncing off each other. Okay, so that's feeling pretty good. Now what I want to do is move the ratio out so I'm not doing as much heavy compression. I want to make that a little bit lighter. So now you can hear how that sounds. So I think that sort of feels pretty good around there as I'm poking it in and out. Now that's kind of grooving really well. So I want to keep the attack really fast still. I don't want to move that, but the release time, it works really well when you get this in the exact tempo with the track. So working with the BPM, which is 123 on this track, if I go to the website, which is called tomhess.net, on here I can put the BPM in the top, which is 123, and then it will calculate the milliseconds that I can do the release time for. Now I want the quickest milliseconds. I don't want it to be sort of holding on to the sound for too long. I still want it to release quite quickly. So the quickest one that is on here is 1/64th note. So I will take that, which is around 30 milliseconds, 30.4 milliseconds. I'll then put that into the release time on there. So about 30, move up. So around there, and then that will release it exactly the right time we want to release. So let's listen how that sounds, and I'll just move it in and out as I play it. So as you can hear, that kind of really gets the groove working properly, so that it really is, the timing's spot on. So I'm loving the way that's sounding. That groove's really coming together. It sounds really tight. It's moving. I can hear the bass happening. I can really get in some good transient hits on the kick. So it's kind of working. It's molding them together. It's keeping it out of the way. But let's move on to step 3, which is a little secret tactic that I use, which is to not just sidechain the bass from the kick, but duplicate the kick. So that what I do is sidechain it from that. Don't have that on an output, but use it as a sidechain, because what I want to do maybe with the kick, I want to change the level. I want to, you know, change how it sounds, things like that. And I don't want that affecting the side chaining at all. So I'm just using the kick now as a trigger for the bass. So make sure that you have that secondary side trigger output to no output. You don't want that playing double the bass. Also, something that I do more than this is I'll usually get I'll have the trigger as a sine wave played via a MIDI trigger, because this way you'll have more control over the length of the trigger and you can move it around a little bit if you want to. It just makes things a little bit easier and a little bit more technical, but for this demo this sort of works perfectly. So just to show you why I do that sidechain off another trigger rather than off the kick drum, if I am changing the sound, so for example I'll take some of the bass out of this kick, which you might do. You might filter the kick at some point, and you might do some other tricks or put some delays on it, whatever you want to do that's more creative. You'll see that as I've got that on the kick, then the compressor just basically stops working because it's not getting the same signal to it as it would if it was just a straightforward trigger. So it's really good to have another trigger running rather than using just your kick, because that way you can manipulate the kick throughout the track. So just make sure that you've got the sidechain now routed from the actual sidechain trigger rather than from the kick drum. Otherwise you'll just confuse yourself. And then you know that everything's running as it should, and you can manipulate the kick however you fancy. So if you're enjoying this video so far, please thumb this video up. It really does help me out. It means that more people will see this content. It means that I'll do more content. It means that you'll learn more things from me for free. So make sure that you thumb it up right now. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Right, let's get back into it. So now we've changed that to trigger from the sidechain trigger rather than the kick. Let's play the track and we'll put that EQ back on, and then you'll see how when you sort of filter the low end out, the compressor will still move exactly the same way as if it was running from the kick drum itself. And it just keeps the groove going with so the bass groove stays exactly the same, and it keeps the beat of the track, so you get a lot smoother bass line that just keeps everything in time, and it just gives much more motion to the low end. So there you have it. That's the 3 steps. Let's just run through those. First of all, you're setting up the sidechain compressor. Then you're setting up the different settings on the sidechain compressor. You're getting the thresholds running at the right time, and you want your release time from where I sent you earlier, which is Tom Hess. I'll leave a link to that below. And then after that, you want to sidechain it from either a duplicate kick, or ideally you do it from a MIDI trigger on a sine wave, so that you can then manipulate the trigger as much as you want to manipulate the kick drum. So now you've got this groove working, you've got the bass so it's moving in time with the track, you've got the kick working properly. Now if you want to really tune up that sub end, then you want to watch this video that's coming up next. It's an EQ secret on how to EQ sub bass. So check that out. Don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, press the bell, because these videos happen every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. So watch the sub bass EQ secret coming up now.